little bit. Good morning, all of you. Welcome to Shubhra Ranjan IAS. I hope all of you are healthy and safe at your home. The purpose of this workshop is that we are introducing our course for general studies from 15th May for 2021. I would like you to get introduced with my team. As you know, general studies play the most important role at all stages of your examination, starting from prelims, mains, as well as interview. No student can hope to get a good rank without scoring a very good marks in general studies. The four pillars of general studies are polity, economy, geography, and history. Today, in this workshop, my team will also be interacting with you, and we will introduce about our teaching methodology and our approach. How are we going to tackle? We are not new in the online. This is the 4th year that we are going for the online teaching. Now, I will introduce you about GS paper 2. GS paper 2 consists of GS paper 2 consists of the 3 major portions. First is the constitution, second is governance and social justice, and the third is international relations. Now in GS paper 2, if you see, the approach of prelims and mains will be different. In prelims, there is greater weightage to the constitution part, whereas in mains, there is a greater weightage on the governance and social justice part. Fine. Now in GS paper 2, some of the general questions is students find constitution as difficult. They have a question whether we have to remember all the articles. So we will ensure that you understand the constitution properly. There is no need to mug up the articles. You have to understand the articles that require conceptual understanding as well as correlation with the current developments. In the governance portion, the major challenge comes because there is no single textbook, and hence it becomes difficult for a student to look for the notes and the course material. Now international relations, a very dynamic part where you require to understand the current developments, but at the same time the basics of that subject is needed. Now to begin with, I will suggest, if you are interested in studying, you can go for these 3 basic books. Political theory book, because some conceptual questions are also asked in prelims. Now Indian Constitution, that can give you a better approach to understand the subject. Then Lakshmikant, because Lakshmikant is too factual and you don't understand the concept or the themes. And politics in India since independence, because you also have post-independence. Along with that, even to understand the constitutional development, you need to require, and every year 2-3 questions are asked from here. Now, notes. Notes is the most important part of the teaching methodology at Shubhra Ranjan IAS. We understand the importance of the comprehensive notes. We also understand that it is not possible for the beginners to be able to make the relevant notes. Though we may recommend you the books, but I am pretty confident that if you go through our class notes, that will be sufficient. In our class notes, you will find that we are doing it in a comprehensive manner. It includes the current part along with the static part as well as the conceptual part. I will say this is the core strength of the teaching methodology. I don't want students wait time collecting the information. My entire team is very particular about providing you the quality notes. Another very, like, I am proud of the team that I have, and I feel that our team is the best available in this sector, in this scenario, in this sector, in the civil services examination. You must be knowing about the geography is taken by Rishikesh sir, history is taken by Jayesh sir, and economy is taken by Vivek sir. Vivek sir, the way all of our teachers integrate the current with the static part, you will not be requiring any further need to make your own notes. Now, though not in the beginning, but later on we will be requiring Lakshmikant. Lakshmikant is important only for prelims. With the help of Lakshmikant, you can manage prelims exam, but you cannot manage GS paper 2 mains examination. Students also have that issue about PM Bakshi. PM Bakshi is a reference. You cannot study. It's not a textbook, it is a reference book, since we have to understand the articles and its language. So as a reference, we will be requiring it. The most important thing is the current development and the newspapers, and be assured that we are ensuring that you don't miss any of the important developments. So I hope you have understood our approach. I will take up the questions related to the polity. In the end, I will call Rishikesh sir. Jayesh sir. He will introduce the history, his approach towards teaching history.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Now, I hope you've gone through ma'am's session regarding what has to be covered from the polity point of view, and overall from how and why you need to start your preparation early. Now, there's something that I would also want to emphasize, that it takes roughly around 10 months to cover your GS preparation, and the earlier you begin, the better it is. And in that perspective, the online experience of going through the whole classroom program is in many ways even better than what you actually get in a physical classroom. And why am I saying that? That I'll come to in a minute. But before we do that, what is to be understood, you often have a questions about how to approach history, what to cover in history, and explaining that, let's first discuss about that first. Now, in the history section, one of the most common things that you have a question is which books to read. And to answer that particular question, let me break it down. The whole history portion can itself be broken down into the modern Indian history, into the which is the core of your preparatory aspect, modern aspect. And apart from the modern Indian history aspect, there is the ancient Indian history, there is the post-independence history, there is the medieval Indian history, and there is the world history. So there is the world history section as well. So how do you go about each of them? So one of the common things that you always ask is which book to read. Now, in that context, for modern Indian history, the book to read is this: Bipin Chandra, History of Modern India by Orient Black Swan publication. This is the book to read, which is also equivalent to the old Bipin Chandra NCRT. So I'm clearly clarifying here that the book to read is the old Bipin Chandra NCRT for the 12th class. Also, to emphasize here is that a lot of you keep asking that do we need to read the 6th to the 10th class NCRTs? Well, the plain answer is no. You don't need to read the 6th to 10th NCRTs for history because they are a very watered down version. You can directly and you should directly read the 12th class if you want to read the NCRT. It is actually the 12th class old NCRT which is being republished by Orient Black Swan publication as this. Now why I am suggesting this book and not the other versions of Bipin Chandra, because this is a concise version which covers something around in 250 pages the modern Indian history aspect, and it also has the period from 1700 to 1800 which is also important from your exam point of view. So this will ensure that this is one book to refer. Now please understand, the first basic of UPSC preparation is on any subject you must either read one book or no book. Okay, that's the rule. Okay, not more than one book. A lot of you keep asking, sir, what about spectrum? Spectrum is so important, we have heard. Please understand that spectrum's utility in your history section, is only from the perspective of your prelims examination. Spectrum will only help in your prelims examination and not in the mains examination. And the mains examination is about answer writing, conceptualizing, and that requires a more thorough understanding. So the book to refer is Bipin Chandra, Modern Indian History. Also, more importantly, you should, as ma'am had said, rely on primarily the class notes for your answer writing preparation aspect as well. Now, the other thing is to talk about, so what I also suggest is that if you have to start reading history, the first thing that you should start reading history from is modern Indian history. Why modern you should start with? Because it is more common, it is more relatable for aspirants, something that they can relate to. All of a sudden for you to relate to the ancient period is actually more tough. So first I recommend is, if you're a beginner, start with modern Indian history and not with any other section. Also, because modern Indian history covers roughly about 50% of your examination weightage. That's also the reason. Now coming to the ancient aspect. Now after you've done modern, I suggest that if you want to read, you should be reading the ancient aspect as well. Now when you talk about the second priority should go to the ancient aspect, because a good understanding of ancient history also helps you in the art and culture section as well. Now for ancient Indian history, the book to read is R.S. Sharma Old NCRT. The R.S. Sharma Old NCRT for the 11th class is the book to read for ancient Indian history, and no other book should you pick up. A lot of you will talk about Upinder Singh, this, that, many other books, but this is comprehensive and concise, both from your examination point of view. Also, ancient related questions are asked both in prelims and mains. Now let me tell you the weightage also of the breakdown of history. Now the weightage of the breakdown of history is such that it gives you roughly around 15 questions in the prelims examination out of 100. So out of the 100 questions of the GS paper, 15 questions come from the total of history. And in the mains examination in GS paper 1, history, art and culture, ancient, medieval, world history together give roughly around 70 marks out of 250. 70 to 80 marks out of 250. So in that context, now in the prelims examination, the weightage is this, that the 15 questions are divided into modern Indian history itself, covering something around 7 to 8 questions, or 50% of the prelims weightage is modern. Then ancient and art and culture will give you another 4 to 5 questions, and medieval will give you another 1 to 2 questions. That has been the weightage in the past 5 years, and that is the pattern currently for you to keep in mind. So the medieval will give you 1 or 2. Now world history and post-independence history are not a part of the prelims examination. They are included in the syllabus only from the perspective of the mains examination. So this is also something for you to keep in mind. So that is why I'm also saying that start with modern Indian history. It has the most weightage. Ancient also is very important, and the book to read is your R.S. Sharma. That will be useful. Now the other thing is also about the medieval Indian history. Now in medieval Indian history is considerably less important, but the rule of thumb for prelims is don't ignore it. It will give you 1 or 2 questions, and these questions are relatively easy questions, and when they're easy, it's a sin to leave these questions in the prelims examination. For medieval Indian history, if there is any book to read, then it must be Satish Chandra's old NCRT for the 11th class. Now the problem with the Satish Chandra old NCRT is that it is very bulky, or it is very elaborate. So there is a selective reading of Satish Chandra is actually useful, and where you should focus not on the names of rulers, when they are born, when they died. The problem with students when they're reading history is they keep banging their head on years, when a ruler is born, when did he die, and these things are not asked in UPSC. The UPSC prelims and the mains paper, even in history, is an analytical paper. They are more interested in the why of questions rather than what. And most of us think history is only about facts. It's actually, in the exam, what they are more interested in asking is why certain events happened. Why did the Mughal Empire decline? Or why did the British succeed in colonizing India? Or what was the result of the British colonization of India? Okay, so they are more interested in the reasons, the causes and the consequences of events. Why so many battles happened in Panipat. So why and the consequences of events is what they are more interested in. So that is about the medieval section. Another thing is about art and culture. A lot of students fear a lot about art and culture. Now in art and culture itself will give you some 3 questions or so in the prelims examination, 3 to 4 questions. Now a lot of students fear this portion. Now it has to be understood firstly that art and culture must be read along with ancient history. Meaning, for example, when you read about the Harappan civilization, you should also read about art during the Harappan period. And the book to refer, and this book is very, very important to read, and that is the Introduction to Indian Art, which is the 11th class NCRT for art and culture. This 11th class NCRT is super important for your prelims examination, but this NCRT does not cover all areas. There are some areas not given in this NCRT, something for which you should actually rely primarily on the class notes. For example, it doesn't talk about the painting styles. It doesn't talk about the painting styles. It doesn't talk about, for example, also about the styles of puppetry, etc. For all these aspects, you should rely largely on the class notes. A lot of people keep talking about Nitin Singhania. The problem with Nitin Singhania is that it is too bulky. And I'm trying to tell you again and again, never try to read a book which is 500 pages, because you will never be able to revise. And unless you revise 3 times, at least 3 times, you will not be able to reproduce it in the prelims and the mains examination. So don't try to go for a book which is too bulky that you cannot revise. Always go for a book which is concise and precise, because you will be able to revise that. That's why I'm saying read this particular book. Okay, now the next particular thing to also talk about is world history. Now world history, if you have to keep in mind, please understand that world history gives questions only in the mains examination, 1 to 2 questions per year. And that is why you should not be reading a very thick book on it. Again, the book to read is Arjun Dev's old NCRT, which is, if you old NCRT on world history. And if you want, it is actually being republished by Orient Black Swan Publications, the history of the world. And this is a book that you should consider reading. It is brief and very useful. Also understand that the Cold War era is very, very important. And this is an additional note, though it may only give 1 or 2 questions, please understand its significance. It will help you in an essay. If you're writing an essay, it will help you bring in a historical perspective within the essay, which is very useful in the preparation of essay also. Also, apart from this, for those who are political science students, as ma'am will anyway say in political science classes also, a certain knowledge of world history is always very useful. So covering the period of world history from 1700 to 1990, this is the syllabus also of your world history. This period is actually covering the major political developments, are also useful for your pol science students also. It will help them understand the theories better. American Revolution, French Revolution, unification of Italy, unification of Germany, World War I, World War II, Cold War, all these events are pretty important. Last but not the least, you also ask about post-independence history. Now, post-independence history also gives questions 1 to 2 every year in your mains examination only, and it is here, as ma'am had showed you in the slides before, it is better if you only read the 12th class NCRT, no reading of 12th class NCRT, that is politics in India since independence. Okay, only that NCRT you must read. What you should not read is Bipin Chandra for post-independence. There is a post-independence book of Bipin Chandra also. You should not read it, I'm saying, because it's too bulky and it's to be avoided. Similarly, India After Gandhi by Ramchandra Guha. This book also is very bulky and of less use, and thus it should also not be read. Okay, both these books don't read for post-independence. Understand, when you read a book, it's important that you should be able to revise, and that's why I'm just suggesting this book. More important than the NCRTs is actually also the class notes, and without class notes, you'll never be able to understand what is the gist of what you're supposed to write. Otherwise, all these books will read like a Harry Potter novel, which will be easy to read through, but after that, when you look at the questions, it will be difficult to arrive at how do you answer those questions. And that is why reading books is only about, these books will only give you a familiarity. It's better to rely on the class notes. And how exactly are we going to conduct the tablet course, etc., we'll tell you by the end of the discussion. Now we will call Rushikesh sir as to guide you about the geography section and what to keep in mind from the geography aspect as well. And also, one of the last things to keep in mind is that there are certain questions that you've been asking on YouTube, so let me just answer those questions in a minute. For example, a lot of you, so there are 4 or 5 questions, let me answer that. The relevance of Tamil Nadu State Board books, right? Ring Balian, you're asking this question. Okay, the thing is, if you don't want to use R.S. Sharma, you can use for the ancient and medieval the Tamil Nadu textbook also. The Tamil Nadu textbook also. If you don't want to use the NCRTs, then you can use the Tamil Nadu textbook. The problem with Tamil Nadu textbook is, I'll tell you the advantage and the disadvantage both. The advantage of the Tamil Nadu textbook is that it is brief, but the problem is that it is it is brief and it is conceptual, so that's the advantage. The problem though becomes that at certain areas they have overlooked some key differences and have gone for very broad coverage, and UPSC at times asks more precise questions. What am I trying to say here is, for example, in the Tamil Nadu textbook, which is a good textbook, I'm not denying that. If you don't want to use the NCRT, then you can go for the Tamil Nadu textbook, but I would keep it on a second priority. Don't read both, read only one. For example, the problem with the Tamil Nadu textbook that I'm trying to point out is that they say, for example, that for ancient India, the Vedic period in the Tamil Nadu textbook is not divided into early Vedic and late Vedic, but R.S. Sharma divides Vedic period also into early Vedic and late Vedic. So if in the prelims examination they ask you a specific question on early Vedic period, then the Tamil Nadu textbook may not be able to make that difference. So that is why first preference I'll say is NCRT. If you don't want to use that, then you can go for the Tamil Nadu textbook, which is also a good textbook. Okay, can we replace NCRT of R.S. Sharma with other Oxford publication? Harsh Kumar. No, Harsh, I'm saying you go don't go for the Oxford one, because the Oxford one book is actually more thicker than the NCRT. Okay, which is the Oxford version, is also written by R.S. Sharma also, but it is actually more thicker. And as I'm saying, don't read something which is very bulky. Read something that you should be able to revise. Please understand, if you start reading one book also, Harsh, for every other topic, you will have a list of 20-25 books, and we don't want you to do that. It is important to read something that you can revise. Shubham is asking, what about spectrum? Shubham, as I told in the beginning itself, that spectrum is useful in modern Indian history only from the prelims point of view. It really doesn't help you from the mains point of view. And preparation should happen from the beginning in an integrated fashion, meaning not just prelims, not just mains, both prelims and mains. So spectrum must be used additionally only for before the prelims for certain additional facts, but the bulk of your modern Indian history preparation must be, if it has to be based on a book, it has to be based on class notes and the Bipin Chandra. Yes, there are books like Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's Palasi to Partition also. There are good points there also that we will incorporate within the class notes. That is why what I'm saying is that these books are not enough. But if you were as a beginner to read something, just read this and primarily rely on the class notes. Okay. Now, Jai Shankar is asking the book for post-independence. That is what I was saying, that if you actually go to ma'am's if you actually go to the previous slides, you will be able to see that ma'am had pointed out this particular book, Politics in India Since Independence. This is that book which is for post-independence history, which is useful. Okay, so this is the book useful for post-independence history. And Siddharth, necessary to make notes from NCERT. Now here is the point, Siddharth. It's a very good question, I would say. Please understand, don't make notes. On any of these topics, don't try to make notes. Why am I telling you don't make notes? Because you don't know what to focus on making notes. As beginners, when I see notes of students, what I find is that they're writing dates and events. Who killed whom? Okay, that and who was the ruler at a particular time. That is not a question which is asked. For example, in the Battle of Plassey, students keep learning this fact that Siraj-ud-Dawla and Ghasiti Begum had a conflict between them over the throne, and it is Siraj who emerged victorious. So that is something which is also something that you need to avoid doing. Don't make notes now. Why I'm telling you don't make notes? Because you will waste time. Understand that when you have to make notes, there are prerequisites. First thing is you need to understand the previous year pattern of questions. The previous year pattern of questions of both prelims and mains. And when we say previous years, we are only meaning the last 5 years or so, not 15 years or 20 years. The pattern keeps changing. And that knowledge is required, plus you should have primarily rely on class notes. Then what is the point of reading the book? The point of reading the book is it tells you how to, what is a good vocabulary, and it familiarizes you with a topic which is to be discussed in the class. So that is why in my suggestion, don't make notes to begin with. It won't be very useful. Okay, so that's there. I'll just go through a few other question. Now, could I please repeat? Ujjwal is asking the number of questions for different subsections within history, right? If I were to repeat, I had already told. You can go in the past, in the video itself, I had said that in the prelims, 7 questions or 8 questions will come from the modern Indian history section. Some 3 to 4 questions will come from the ancient section. Some 2 to 3 questions will come from the art and culture section. And some 1 to 2 questions will come from the medieval Indian history section. So that is the rough weightage for you to keep in mind. Okay, now also, yes, the GS tablet course is will be available in the classroom, in the tablet program, etc. Okay, now please also, a lot of you are, Ajit is saying, Sanjay is saying, is these books enough? Please understand, this is bare minimum. This is for you to start. This is not enough. It is not my argument here that you read these 3 books and that will be enough for you to answer all the questions in prelims and mains. I'm not trying to say that. We need to get out of this mindset And all of you need to get out of this mindset that we are looking at certain guidebooks, you cram them up, memorize them, and you will be able to answer all these questions in the exam. It won't happen. It has to be very dynamic approach, relying on class notes, reading more and more. What is enough is difficult to say. What is necessary is class notes and this reading. Also, please understand, get out of that mindset where education is about picking up 3 books, mugging them up and reproducing in the board exam. This is not your CBSE board exam. You are not Sharma ji ka beta who has to score 99%. This is an exam where the topper also gets roughly around 55 to 60% marks. Okay, and it is in this context, please understand that the examination need cannot be met merely by reading 1 or 2 books, but this is a bare minimum essential reading. Okay, so what about the themed NCERT? What about the new NCERTs? I'm saying you rely on these books. The themed NCERT you want to read, they are complementary, they are bonus, they are not the core aspect of your preparation. Okay, so Chetan Reddy is also asking the same question. Can I get one book? There is no one book. There is no panacea. There is no elixir जो आपने पी लिया and you will get selected. So please stop looking. If you want one source, I'll tell you everything is in Wikipedia. You go and read in Wikipedia, everything is there. But that won't help, Chetan, right? Because it is so much you don't know what to study. So that is also important. Okay. Now that's it. So I think I've answered most of the questions. I'll just pass on to Rushikesh sir. And I'll just call Rushikesh sir and he'll just join you in the next couple of seconds. Whatever questions you have about how exactly the tablet will work, etc., we'll explain in the last of this session. So Rushikesh sir is there and he's the one who really will guide you about the nuances of the preparation itself. Just a second.
Hi students, welcome to the online session of the General Studies tablet course for the year 2021. Now before I go into the geography, let me give a very brief idea about our online program, especially the tablet program, in which you will not stop your preparation for the next year because of the crisis situation. See, remember, in each and every crisis there are seeds of opportunity. So if you cannot study, if you cannot access the offline classroom courses, we are here with the online tablet course to help you. Now, how is this online tablet course slightly different or different from the other courses? The most important thing here is we have live lectures which are updated in your tablet, and this live lectures is followed by a live question and answer session. So you will get the same feeling of attending the offline course, where after attending every class you ask a particular teacher a particular doubt. Here also you will be able to do the same. That is, after attending the classes you can ask the doubt to the students. The only thing is you will be asking these doubts in the comfort of your home rather than in the classroom, because social distancing will be the norm for the coming days. The second question which I am looking is, many students are asking, when are the offline classes going to start and whether you should wait for that. So I will say no, because we don't know when the government is going to allow the offline classes to start. So rather than waiting, you can rejoin our tablet course and then you can upgrade it to the offline classes. Whatever the slight fee difference there will be there, then you can upgrade it to the offline classes also, because there is so much uncertainty that when the offline classes will go on starting. Now let us come to the subject. In the subject, geography, environment and disaster management are the three themes which I take in your general studies portion. So geography will come in the paper 1 of your general studies, while environment and disaster management comes in the paper 3 of your general studies. But don't get fooled by paper 1 and paper 3 ka difference, because all these questions are highly interrelated. Till you don't understand the geography ka areas, you will not understand what is the disaster management or what is environmental degradation. So for example, if you don't understand how the earth was formed, how the plates etc. started moving over the period of time, we will not understand the climate that has changed. And if you don't understand the climate that has changed, you will not understand how anthropogenic climate change has resulted into the loss of biodiversity and maybe this pandemic. So all this is highly interrelated in nature. But I will give you a very brief idea of how we are going to study the geography portion. Then I will give you the resources also, and you can ask me your doubts. So the major crux of entire geography is the concept of geomorphology. When we say geomorphology, it describes the physical earth. That is, in this there is an important concept of plate tectonics. There is an important concept of the volcanoes. There is an important concept of continental drift, and various landforms are the features that you see on the earth. So in the geomorphology section, you must have heard about the topics such as landslides, and the landslides can come in the region of the disaster management. You must have heard every year we have one question in the main examination from either continental drift theory, seafloor spreading theory, or the volcanic hotspots ka theory, or the plate tectonic theory, which comes on the portion of geomorphology. The concept of geomorphology is also very, very important to understand the rocks. And once you understand the rocks, you can understand the minerals. And if you understand the mineral distribution of any region, you can understand the industries ka distribution. So it is all in space, spatial science, कि ऐसे हुआ था, इसीलिए ऐसे rocks है, इसलिए उसमें ये minerals मिलते हैं, इसीलिए XYZ certain kind of the mineral based industries are located in this region. So it is all highly interrelated. Is there any factual portion for the preliminary examination here? Yes, there are factual portion. You must have seen in the past year papers some questions such as Lopulith come, some questions such as Lapulith come. Even when we do this area, so we will be doing continental drift, plate tectonic theory, volcanoes, earthquake. So when we do this area, we will do the map based questions also. So even if the question comes, Barren Island kahan pe hai, Mount Krakatoa kahan pe hai, where is Mount Krakatoa, where is Mount Barren Island, you will be able to answer this questions. Geomorphology is the base. Geomorphology will give you an idea of the entire world map also, because when I teach you geomorphology, I will teach you it in the integrated manner with the world map. And also geomorphology will have implications for the Indian geography, that how did the Himalayas etc. were formed. So ये जो धरती जिसके ऊपर आप हो, this is what is the geomorphology. Next two elements of the world, what we can see here are climate and the oceans. Fine. This is what is the climate and the oceans. Now in this climate and the oceans, some very static topics such as the structure of the atmosphere is there, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere etc., which is very, very easy portion. But इसी में there is a dynamic topic, that is the ozone hole. इसी में there is current affairs, that is Kigali agreement. इसी में there is the application part, that how industrial revolution or how the anthropogenic pollutants are responsible for the ozone hole depletion. What are उसका impacts? क्या होता है? What do you understand by bad ozone? What do you understand by the good ozone? What is photochemical smog etc.? So we know that most of the cities ka miraculously the air became very clean because of the lockdown. But you will see that as soon as the lockdown opens up, फिर से वो pollutants will be back to the atmosphere. So who are the basic pollutants? It is the we human beings. Climatology is also very important from your mains as well as preliminary examination, because climatology is the foundation of environment and ecology, and you know that environment and ecology you get at least 18 to 20 questions in the preliminary examination out of the 10 questions, out of the 100 questions. So the climatology includes structure of the atmosphere, winds, wind system. We will do even the applied portion की planes किस layer में जाते हैं, क्यों जाते हैं, jet planes कहाँ जाते हैं, commercial planes कहाँ जाते हैं, what do you mean by the winds, what is westerlies, what is easterlies. All these areas you will get a complete idea, and then we will come to the applied portion of the climatology such as thunderstorms, such as convectional rainfall. क्यों होता है lightning? In mains perspective, in the prelims perspective. Leave it to me that what is important for mains and what is important for prelims. With the experience of teaching for so many years, I can tell you what should be done and what not should be done. And lastly, dust storms, extreme weather events. Mains पे इस पे question आ चुका है. What do you understand by the dust storms? Prelims में इस पे question आ चुका है. Why the lightning and thunder is there? Fine. So all these things are there. And lastly, the most important one which you are going to see in the coming months is the Indian monsoon. Indian monsoon, which you can say is the finance minister of India. Why finance minister of India? Because a good rainfall will give good agriculture. Good agriculture will give more income to the farmers, and more income to the farmers means more money in the hands of the people. So credit crunch nahi hoga. These are the interlinkages you should be able to do to clear the UPSC civil services examination, and we are going to study all these interlinkages so that geography becomes very interesting for you. The next part is once you have studied the land, you study the air, now go inside the water. So the next part is oceans. Oceans, the Earth as a blue planet. Why Earth? Again, this is the static portion. Oceans, Earth, कितने oceans है, क्या ocean currents है, what is this, coral reefs क्या है. So all we are going to study this, as well as the dynamic current affairs वाला portion, which talks about ocean acidification. What are उसका implications? What happens due to ocean? Why ocean acidification? This is just one example I am taking. Or ocean currents. So current affairs में या कोर ऑफ ज्योग्राफी जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, अल नीनो, ला नीना, एमॉक, अटलांटिक मेरिडोनियल ओवरटर्निंग सर्कुलेशन, जो करंट अफेयर्स में क्यों हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है. सो ऑल दिस थिंग्स विल बी स्टडिंग इन द पोर्शन ऑफ ओशनोग्राफी. अलोंग विथ आई एम टेलिंग यू ईच एंड एवरी क्लास विल बी देयर विद द मैप बेस्ड वर्क. And lastly, when we study the entire world geography, we will apply it on the micro scale in detail, and we will come to the next portion, what we will call it as our Indian geography. In the Indian geography, we will study the political map of India, the physical geography of India, river systems of India, कौन सी tributaries, कौन से national parks, in which rivers. Everything will be a part of class work कि आपको कोई और classes लगाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. Then floods, droughts, this will be the part of disaster management. This will be the part of the geography का, that is the variations in the monsoon rainfall. This will be the part of disaster management. And also the human geography, tribes, tribal population in India, as well as minerals. I have just taken here the photos as a representative section. The political geography, physical geography, economic geography, floods and droughts, disaster management, as well as human geography. So these are the further areas. Now, once we finish this, we come to the core of entire this, the most interesting. Once you understand the geography, as we will be teaching here 2 subjects at a time in general studies. Initially from the 15th of May, your history and polity classes are going to start. Once your history and polity classes are over, you get then geography and economy will start. Reason is so that you should have an interlinkage between the subjects. So we don't start too many subjects at a time. We start only 2 subjects at a time, and once your geography is finished, when the prelims will come near, we'll start with the very interesting topic along with the maps, that is the environment and ecology. Example, biosphere reserves, national parks, the protected areas in India. Why climate change? Why the earth is melting? Or why the ice caps and the glaciers are melting? What is this fire? Is it natural? It is anthropogenic. What are its implications? What will happen if the ice cap melts? And you are reading this on the more or less daily basis in the newspaper. Then what do you mean by biodiversity? What are the important animals in India? What are the important birds? In which areas are they found? And second, lastly, what are the government का important steps? For example, status of tigers in India. कोई भी आगे scheme आ सकती है. So all this will be a part of your class notes. Getting it? So this is how I will be dealing with this entire portion. And how should you study then? You should study it first, and the most important part of your studies is the class notes itself. Generally, for this subject, class notes are more than enough, but other than this, you can have certain resources. For example, the most important resource which I will say is the Oxford Student Atlas of India, by the Student Atlas of India. And when our classes will start, I will tell you in the classroom कि आज के लेक्चर में एटलस की जरूरत, आज के लेक्चर से एटलस की जरूरत पड़ेगी. So generally from our second lecture, you are required to carry atlas on the everyday basis, and will make the maps, will make the diagrams. You will be expert in making the diagrams and the maps when you will finish this. And you can go once through this NCERTs. You can go through this NCERTs. Now there are two NCERTs in 11th, Fundamentals of Physical Geography. Not that important, just give it a very fast reading because you don't understand this NCERTs in detail. India Physical Environment, yes, supplement it with the class notes. इसकी इतनी importance नहीं है because ये बहुत ज़्यादा technical है, बहुत ज़्यादा tough language में है. Our notes will be simplified and इतना exam के लिए relevance नहीं है. But this is a good NCERT, India Physical Environment. Then 12th में you have two NCERTs. Exam के लिए relevant is India People and Economy. Though the data is old, you will understand very good concepts. But to understand the geography and to understand the terms and how interesting the subject is, though it is not important from the examination point of view, you can give a very fast reading to the fundamentals of human geography. So these are your basic resources. These two Indian geographic NCERTs are a proper thorough study. This is for casual reading. These two NCERTs of the world are for the casual reading, and you should be having this in the class. Now the next question which generally people tell me is what will be the kind of the notes that will be given in the tablet course. So remember, there will be soft copies what the teacher wants to give you, because each teacher has a different style. But similar to our physical classroom, there will be classroom dictation, so that you get a discipline of sitting for 2.5 hours inside your home. So there will be a proper dictation, there will be proper, you should have the entire, at the end of every course, you should have class notes, and they are more than enough for the examination. So that is the entire idea of the subject, geography, environment. Before I pass on to Vivek sir for economy, I will answer some of your questions. So Learn Easy is asking me, please tell about geography optionals. Learn Easy, keep on looking at the website. We will be launching the geography optional in the first week, in the mid of June, and you will get an idea about it. Tablet course, one interesting question, Anikesh Chaudhary, and this question will be relevant to many of you. So the question is, the tablet course includes the tablet or we have to buy it separately? Remember, the tablet course in the fees, which are very modest fees, we are giving you the tablet also, so you don't have to buy the tablet separately. And one interesting thing is, you have 3x playtime. What do you mean by 3x playtime? That you can watch all the lectures 3 times. So if the course is maybe for 700 hours, you have a playtime of 2100 hours, so that you can revise the lectures again and again. The only thing is, the tablet will be locked for the because of the piracy issues till the time your course ends, for the use of only Shubhra, Ranjan, IS ka courses. You cannot use that tablet for any other thing. Brijesh Barot is asking, when we start the answer writing? Remember, Brijesh, answer writing, each and every teacher feels that the students are now comfortable with the subject. They will make you write the answers in the classroom itself. So there are going to be the class test plus the general studies students also have access to our proper all India prelims and mains test series. But before that, it is leaves to our teacher, because each and every teacher knows the subject very properly. So we are going to start the answer writing, and teachers will make the answer. You don't depend upon the answer. You don't start answer writing on your own. First, get the knowledge of the subject. First, try to understand the subject, and then you can easily write the answers. Sarthak Tripathi, what is the strategy for the current affairs? This is his question. Again, a good question, because current affairs is an area where generally everyone feels that they lack. So the first strategy is that teachers have integrated the current affairs as the part of their GS program. Secondly, when the course is going to start, Jayesh sir will take specific lectures in the initial part on how to read Hindu, how to make notes for the current affairs. So Jayesh sir will take care of how the current affairs section should be handled with, and we also have our current affairs, a separate program for the current affairs. So Yogeshwar, I have already answered a question when the geography optional program is going to start. That will be in the June. You can keep on visiting our website and also subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we keep on updating many conceptual parts, very interesting parts on the YouTube channel. And the last question that Pratika is asking is, what about G.C. Leong? See, Pratika, G.C. Leong is a very good book. There is no doubt about it, but it was written much earlier. Now, if you are joining our course, there is no need of G.C. Leong. If you are having it, keep it as a reference book. जब मैं कभी बताऊंगा कि अगर पढ़ना है तो पढ़ो, तो आप पढ़ सकते हो, बट अभी जीसी लियोंग की जरूरत नहीं है. अपने क्लास नोट्स आर मोर देन इनफ फॉर योर प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन. Fine with this? So I will pass to Vivek sir for the economics part.
Good afternoon to all of you. I am Vivek and I will be taking your economy classes. So first let us understand in detail that how this subject economy should be discussed for UPSC. See, it has both prelims and mains portions. Now you all may be knowing that economy is a very important subject for the UPSC. In prelims section, generally UPSC asks 20 questions from economy. Now out of these 20 questions, you can see the trend for the last 7-8 years. From 2013 onwards till 2019, mostly the prelims questions which come in economy can be broadly categorized into two ways. One is conceptual or static portion and the other is current affairs portion. Now if you will see here, in 2013 UPSC asked 18 questions from economy in the prelims. Now out of all the 18 questions, all were conceptual. There were no current affairs questions. And if you will see the trend in 2016, it's exactly reversed. So in 2016, there were no conceptual questions, 0, and all the questions 18 were current affairs. Now if you see in the last 2-3 years, the trend has slightly started changing towards the conceptual questions. In 2017, out of the total 18 questions, 4 were conceptual and 14 were current affairs questions. If you will see the last year, 2019 questions, there were around 20 questions in the prelims portion, and you see that the economy, the conceptual questions has increased to 12. So again, there is a trend that the conceptual questions has started increasing. But what I will suggest you is that please don't try to guess whether the next year in 2020 or 2021 there will be more conceptual questions or there will be more current affairs questions, because I feel that no one can guess this. So what should be your strategy is, first, see, you all know that you cannot build upon the current affairs questions until unless your conceptual understanding is strong. So first what we should do is we should build upon the conceptual understanding. Then using that information, using that knowledge, we should be able to understand whatever is the current events going on. Now related to example of current affairs and conceptual questions, this is a conceptual question. The money multiplier which came last year 2019, the money multiplier in an economy increases with which of the following? Now try to understand that why this is a conceptual question, but why it was asked last year. Since last 2-3 years you may be reading the newspaper and knowing that government launched Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, then there was demonetization. Now this question is purely conceptual, but it is related with certain current events also. Because of the Jan Dhan Yojana, a lot of people started moving to banks, they started opening the bank accounts. Now when you open bank accounts, then money multiplier increases. So taking a cue from the current events, they have asked the conceptual questions. Now current affairs based question, which was the purpose of the intercreditor agreement signed by Indian banks and financial institutions recently. So even to answer this current affairs question, you should have an idea of the banking sector, money, finance, etc. So these are the kind of questions which UPSC generally asks. Now coming to the mains portion, see, generally in paper 3 where economy is covered, around 9 to 10 questions of mains comes every year from economy side. Now mains questions, it has been a trend that mostly mains questions are application based questions. For example, why your manufacturing is not able to increase, why your industrial output is not able to increase, what are the challenges in supply chain. So what I feel is that prelims is more of conceptual and mains is more of application based. But again in mains also a lot of questions can be from current and a lot of questions may be from past. When I say from the past, see, the whole economy syllabus of UPSC you can divide into 2 parts. From prelims point of view it is conceptual and current, and from mains point of view it is the static part and the current part. For example, your syllabus in the economy is from post 1947 onwards. So we divide the whole period from 1947 till 1991 and then 1991 till now. So sometimes the question is also from the past. For example, what were the result of the bank nationalization? So this is a static portion. These questions also come, but very few in number, maybe 1 or 2 or 3. But most of the questions in mains, generally they are from last 1 year or 2 year information. For example, out of the 10 questions which UPSC generally asks in mains, you can see the trend. In 2013, the conceptual or static portion was 0. There was no single question from static portion. And all the questions, 10 questions were from the current affairs question. If you will see 2018, it was 1 conceptual and 9 current affairs questions, and in between it has changed. So I will suggest that never try to judge what kind of questions we should study, whether we should focus more on current or conceptual. My suggestion is that you should first cover the entire syllabus well, and then keep on reading the newspaper and keep on relating the newspaper events with the concepts which you have studied. If you want to see the example of mains based questions, here is a mains based question. See, industrial growth rate has lagged. This was a last year question. Industrial growth rate has lagged behind in the overall GDP growth in the post reform period. Post reform period means post 1991 period. So this question 1991 till 2020, so last 30 years. So this question talks about the last 30 years performance. It's not about 1 year or 2 year current affairs. So for this you must have static knowledge what has happened in the economy in the last 30-40 years. This kind of question also comes, but generally few in number, maybe 1 or 2. Now see here, the current or dynamic based question: examine the role of supermarkets in supply chain management of fruits, vegetables and food items. How do they eliminate the number of intermediaries? Now we had a lot of previous acts, APMC and other acts which debarred farmers from directly selling to the markets. Now a lot of government has done a lot of reforms like Model Agricultural Produce and Livestock Marketing Act. In the context of those reforms, this current affairs based question has been asked. So this is purely related to last 1 or 2 years events, and this is about the past economic history. You need to focus on both the things. You cannot just ignore one, because if you are going to ignore anything and suppose in that year mostly questions come from that part, then you are gone. So try to cover the entire syllabus, never focus on just static or current. You have to prepare both. Now the next thing is preparation strategy. See, what I will suggest is that this subject for UPSC, it should be tackled in a little bit different way other than this history or polity or geography subjects. So preparation strategy for this subject: first, whatever is the syllabus, you must first see the syllabus. First prepare the entire subject covering prelims and mains. A lot of students first come and they say ki, sir, I want to first prepare the prelims portion and then there are mains portion. See, you cannot exactly segregate the prelims and mains portion. There is no as such segregation. Earlier for a few years UPSC used to ask prelims questions from certain specific chapters, but now it is all intermixed. You cannot say that this is prelims or this is mains. For example, inflation. Generally earlier UPSC used to ask questions on inflation in the prelims part, conceptual part. But last year there was a question related to how this RBI has achieved this 2 to 4% inflation targeting and what are the impacts of this. So they have also started asking the mains questions from the conceptual part. So, and once you prepare the entire thing, then it becomes very easy for you to handle the prelims and mains portion both. So first you cover the entire syllabus, then now in our classroom course and the tablets course also, to check your understanding, because this is such a subject that if I keep on teaching and you're listening, you won't be able to know that what exactly you have understood. So for that, I keep on taking various MCQ based tests also after every topic, and there are class tests of answer writing also. This is other than the mains and prelims test series which is already part of our tablet course. Here I am talking just about the class test. Now you need to follow one newspaper also. So once you have understood the economy syllabus and concepts well, I think you can start following the newspapers. But before that, what I will suggest is ki till that you start studying the subject, you can ignore the economic news because it is a little bit complex and you find it difficult. Once we start taking up the economy classes, then you can start following the economy news. You can follow either one newspaper for better understanding of the current issues in economy. Yes, this point, a very important thing. See, this economy, I generally take 40 classes of 2.5 hours covering this entire prelims and mains. Now, once this economy portion in your GS full course is over, suppose economy portion is over by September. Now, during this, when I am taking your economy classes, whatever current issues are coming in the newspaper, of course, I discuss daily in the class. But once this economy class is over, a lot of students are concerned that, sir, how we should cover the newspapers and whether we will be getting the notes or not. So for them, let me clear this doubt that, see, every week I prepare a video, whatever economy current issues are going on, every week on that issue, I prepare a PDF note and I prepare a video. This video is uploaded on our Shubhra Ranjan IS Studies channel, and this along with this PDF notes. So once your economy course is over in the entire GS syllabus, you can keep on following our channel where you can access the PDF notes also of all the current events plus all the videos also. In that way, you will keep on revising the conceptual part also and you will keep on updating the current affairs also. Please don't get too much worried about the current affairs. I have seen that a lot of students worry in economy basically. They worry a lot about current events and they'll try to mug it up. Please don't try to mug it up. Even the current event parts, you don't need to mug up. It is related with conceptual understanding. So first I am again and again saying that first you understand the entire subject, current events will become very easy for you, because once you have understood, I basically keep on updating regularly every week with the PDF notes and the current affairs. So please don't worry about that. And once your syllabus is over, I think once you have understood the entire subject, from January or Feb, you should start focusing on specifically on the prelims portion. Now every year, see, now there is one doubt which generally students ask, that ki sir, whether we should study NCERT or which NCERT, which book I should study before coming to the classes. So the answer to this question is, see, I am specifically telling you about the economy portion in the GS syllabus. Now what I have found is that economy, it's macro part which is in the UPSC syllabus. What I suggest you is that the 12th economy NCERT book, 12th class, it has 6 chapters and only 3 chapters are relevant for your syllabus. Now out of these 3 chapters, again, few topics are not relevant. Those topics which are relevant, it has been written in such a language that students find it very difficult to understand. Plus, this book hardly covers 10 to 15% of your syllabus and it is quite outdated. That means the data and most other things are quite from old. So what I suggest is, please don't read that book. You can read the NCERT of history, polity, geography, but for economy, please don't read any book. Once you come to the class, then only you need to follow a book. I have just one sec. I have written a book and every year I keep on updating the new editions. This year in Feb I released the 4th edition of the Indian economy book. You just need to follow this book. And please don't start reading this book earlier, because you are going to waste a lot of effort. So first come to the class, come to the tablet course. Once our class is start, every day I will be telling you that this portion you need to study. So please earlier don't follow any book. You just can prepare with history, polity and other things. Economy, everything will be discussed in class. And I know that most of the UPSC students are from non-economy background. Major are from engineering or from pure humanities or from science background, who have not read economy anywhere in the class, who don't have any idea of economy. That is why, knowing this information, I start my classes from very basics. Even if you don't know anything in economy, I guarantee that I will explain you each and everything with crystal clarity. So please don't doubt, please don't worry about this subject. I know that a lot of students are scared for economy because they say that they are from non-economy background. But trust me, come to the class, come to this course. I guarantee that you'll understand each and everything in a very crystal clear way, whatever UPSC asks. Whatever UPSC asks means focusing on this syllabus only. Now other things which you need to refer is Hindu and Express. Both the newspapers are good. Now in the last 1 or 2 years, I have seen that Indian Express has improved a lot in the explained page and others. So you can follow any of the 2 newspapers. If you have more time, rather than reading any other magazine, you can follow both these 2 papers. Both are really good and they are at par to the UPSC standard. I have seen that a lot of magazines which earlier was relevant for UPSC, now they are not much relevant for considering the UPSC general studies syllabus. UPSC has increased its standard to a higher level. Those magazines, I think they are not able to cover that level. So if you have time, please follow both the newspapers, Hindu and Express. Now a major concern of the students are regarding budget and economic survey, sir, how we should study budget and economic survey. And some students also ask that, sir, budget and economic survey come in Feb, so should we do this course in Feb? A big no. See, suppose you do this economy or this GS at the end. Now what happens? Whatever economy news is coming, for example, take this COVID. Now this corona is going to impact a lot of data, a lot of economic things. Now if you have skipped each, suppose, see, today Nirmala Sitharaman, our finance minister, is going to give the details of the economic package which Mr. Narendra Modi announced, our Prime Minister announced yesterday, that we are going to give 10% of the GDP as economic stimulus. All the details will be covered today by our Finance Minister. Now if you are not understanding all these things, if you have skipped all these things, then you are not going to, you won't be able to understand all these things in just 1 month or 2 month time. So the best thing is you prepare these 4 subjects: history, polity, economy, geography, the 4 pillars of GS, in advance as early as possible. And that is why our tablet course focuses on these 4 subjects at the start. If you will see our flowchart, you will get it. So this subject should be done as soon as possible, so that whatever events and are coming in the newspapers, you should be able to understand it. Now, just slightly about budget and economic survey. See, budget and economic survey should not be worried too much about. The reason being, suppose GST, take it as GST. Now GST is a big reform, a lot of things are there in the GST. Now there are a lot of issues in the GST, there are a lot of technicalities in the GST. Now if some students has already understood GST in our class, now in Feb, whatever the tax rates, see, budget changes just the tax rates. Now if there are certain tax rate changes, if you have already understood the GST, you will be able to understand. Now those students who have not understood all this entire direct, indirect taxes, GST and other, then even in the budget and economic survey class, they won't be able to understand. So budget and economic survey is nothing new as such. If you have understood the syllabus of economy as well, then budget and economic survey is just on top of it, and it will become very easy for you to understand the budget and economic survey. If you have not understood the investment and the income cycle in the economy, the flow of economy, budget and economic survey, just reading the budget economic survey or attending few classes of budget and economic survey is not going to help. So the focus should be to understand the entire economic syllabus, and then if something extra comes in budget and economic survey, I take up extra class for that in Feb and March and provide you video and notes also. Thank you. Let me take up certain questions which you have asked. Do we need to read Ramesh Singh, Sanjeev Verma, Dutt and Sundaram? A very good question, and these questions I have already got from students. Now I don't want to criticize anyone else, but regarding this subject economy, for a teacher, it is very difficult to update each and everything whatever is happening in the economy on a day-to-day basis. And this subject is conceptual. So let me take the questions one by one. Now someone is asking whether we should study Ramesh Singh. Now I found this book quite bulky and it doesn't clear the concepts. Honestly speaking, it's my just personal, you don't take it otherwise, it doesn't clear the concept, it confuses you. The second thing is Sanjeev Verma. Now Sanjeev Verma is very precise, but it mostly covers the mains part, the whole prelims part is ignored. Plus it is not updated. It doesn't cover the current, whatever has happened, it doesn't cover that, it doesn't explain the prelims portion well. Of course, mains wise it is good. Dutt and Sundaram. Dutt and Sundaram, it is now quite old fashioned, it has too much of data, and while reading the book, students get confused totally in the data and they are not able to understand the concepts. It's bulky, it has too much data, it has become, earlier it may have been relevant, but now it has become totally outdated. So no need to read this book. This subject is one of the easiest out of history, polity and geography, but till now I think students have not really understood this subject. Once you understand the conceptual clarity of this subject, see what generally students do is they start reading a book and start mugging it up. Please don't ever try to mug up this subject. Everything you must understand. Once you understand, it becomes very easy, your mind will be light, and it has by putting less effort you can score high marks. The second question, how to cover economic survey and budget. I think I have already explained it, but let me just tell you one point. Budget is about future. Now in budget, what government says is, in the next 1 year, in what all sectors government is going to spend, how much. Now UPSC is not going to ask which ministry, which department government is going to spend. The budget also says that in the next year, which new schemes it is going to launch. If budget says that these schemes government is going to launch, UPSC is not going to ask you the new schemes until and unless those schemes has been implemented in our system. UPSC will not ask just because the budget has presented that. The second thing is tax rate changes. Budget explains the tax rate change also. Now UPSC is not going to ask you what is the tax rate of this GST or some other tax. Tax rate, because it can anytime change. What you need to understand is ki on what things MAT is imposed, how MAT is imposed, how corporate income tax is imposed, how DDT, whether it is there or not. So you need to understand the overall entire tax structure rather than the tax rate. Budget just changes the tax rate. Of course, if there is some new addition in the budget or some new tax is imposed, for that we take separate classes. So please don't worry about budget and economic survey. Now regarding economic survey, see, economic survey is about past 1 year. Budget is about next 1 year and economic survey is about past 1 year. So economic survey generally discusses that in the last 1 year, how our country has fared in agriculture, industry, services, forex and these things. Now while I am teaching, suppose I am taking your classes in July. Now whatever has happened in the economy in the last 1 year, totally updated I am teaching you. Whatever has happened till that day, I am going to teach you. Only that thing is covered in economic survey. If you have done the classes, hardly any new thing you will find in economic survey. And one more thing, the budget and economic survey is not presented for UPSC. It's a government procedure. Sometimes there are certain things which is relevant for your syllabus and sometimes they are not relevant. So once you understand the syllabus, then you look into the budget and economic survey, what is relevant and what is not relevant. The portion which is relevant, only that thing you needs to cover. And while I take my classes, 90% of the budget and economic survey is already covered. Whatever extra comes, for that I release notes also. For that I take up classes also. So before that, please don't worry about budget and economic survey. The next question, so important chapters, prelims chapter from your book. As I told you that 2-3 months back, once this budget and economic survey got released, I released my 4th edition of the book in Feb 2020. Now someone is asking which chapters to study for prelims. I said that no one can judge from current or conceptual question, but generally for prelims, the first 4 chapters, GDP first chapter, second chapter is money and banking, third chapter is insolvency, SURFACE Act, and 4th chapter is budget and tax. So first 4 chapters are mainly relevant for prelims, but UPSC can ask any question from any chapter. So you need to read the entire book, but there should be more focus only on the first 4 chapters for the prelims. So that's all. Now Jay sir will come and he will explain you about details about our tablet course. Thanks.
So I think now you've managed to go through all the particular aspects of polity, history, geography and economy, and we have answered most of your questions as well. Now, a lot of you have been asking about how exactly the course is going to be conducted, what is the fee, when is the tablet going to be delivered. So briefly, to answer all of those questions, I'll just take 2 minutes and answer all of those most important FAQs about how we're going to conduct the course. Now, in fact, one of the first things to understand is that while conducting the course, we've consistently been able to produce results from Pol Science and now also from GS as well. The 4 core faculties you've already interacted with. There are other relevant faculties also for the respective areas which are a part of the team, and they'll take the relevant areas also. Apart from this, when we come to the course aspect, please understand that the course is going to include, a lot of you were asking this question about test series, etc. So please understand that the course is going to include both the prelims and the mains test series as well, okay, within the course structure itself. Now, there are a few other things also, how exactly the course is going to be conducted. Let me come to that. Now, the first important thing is that we're going to start with 2 subjects at a time, and the course are going to be conducted in a 3-step fashion. What is going to happen is that there will be a live lecture in the GS class from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Now, this 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. lecture will be a live lecture. Now, this live lecture will be followed by a Q&A. A Q&A where the students can ask their, and this will be a live session with a Q&A where the students can ask their relevant questions on the lecture itself. Please understand, this live lecture will also be available in the recorded format within the tablet itself. So if you are a working professional, you can watch the lecture later also. But we want to do it live. Why? Because it will maintain discipline also in terms of you covering the syllabus properly. Now, the live session will be followed by a Q&A, and in the 3rd step, there is also a provision of having group and one-to-one Zoom meetings also, which can be scheduled on the website so that students can have a group or one-on-one Zoom meetings also with the faculties. In fact, we're doing this for the essay program even currently. So this is a 3-step process that we have embedded within the course structure itself. Also, there is a prelims and mains test series included. Also, the questions, papers and the answer sheets that you write for your answers will be uploaded on the website, checked and sent back to you. That online mechanism is a part of our website itself that is there, and the provision for that will be within the tablet also. You can submit within the tablet also. Also, every teacher has, in addition to the test series, focuses on within the class also giving you mini class tests or assignments, whether they are MCQs or whether they are answer writing practice also, which is checked and given. Now, as I was saying in the beginning, that we start with 2 subjects, and as ma'am had told you and Roshi sir also told you, that we'll start with polity and history. Why 2 subjects and not 3 or 4? Because we want you to maintain continuity. 3 days a week it will be polity class, 3 days a week it will be history class. We'll have classes 6 days a week, and once you finish history and polity, then you go to economy and geography. There is a reason for this. We don't want you to do 4 subjects at a time, then no subject gets completed on, and then what will happen is that Monday you have history, Tuesday you have geography, Wednesday you have polity, Thursday you have economy, Friday you have social issues. That approach breaks continuity, and it's not a very effective way of learning also. Secondly, first 4 pillars are important if you have to understand other topics. For example, you have to understand governance, social issue, etc. You must first understand polity and history, then only understand. For example, ethics. You can't begin your lectures with ethics on the very first day, because the ethical implications of policies can be understood when you understand polity itself. So that is why that is also the part of the course also. A lot of you keep asking about current affairs. Every teacher will integrate current affairs within the classroom also. The live lectures will also have notes which will be dictated so that you write on the notes also. Every teacher also provides additional PDFs and material also, which will be provided you in the format of a soft copy. And for example, for history, I'll provide certain other PowerPoint presentations also, which will be provided in a soft copy to enrich your preparation also. But the thrust is going to be on the class notes. Then last but not the least, there is another aspect of how we're going to, what is the technical specifications? It is going to be a Samsung 8-inch tab. Now, a lot of you have been asking a very wise question, how will you ship the tablets if you're going to start the course from 15th May? So how we're going to conduct this is that the course starts from the 15th of May. Now, when the course starts from the 15th of May, the tablets we expect to ship you to your home destinations only after 15 July. Now, for the first 2 months, the classes will be available on the website till the tablet reaches your hometown. Only when the tablet is available to you, after that we will switch off the website. So the course will be available for the first 2 months on the website. After that, only on the tablet. Okay. Now, please understand that the tablet is meant to give you flexibility also, but also to maintain discipline in studies also. So what we have done is, you can obviously study at the pace you want. The validity of the course is till the mains examination 2021. So next year, 2021 mains examination, the tablet course will be available on the tablet. The tablet can be exclusively used only for watching the lectures and the assignments, for that purpose only, till the course is valid. So after 2021, you can use the tablet for any other purpose also, but not before that. While the course is running on the tablet, no other apps will work and it cannot be used for any other purpose. Why we are making it only on tablet and not on website? Eventually, because of piracy related issues, something that we want to avoid. And the cost of the course includes the cost of the tablet also. You don't have to buy it separately. We will ship you the tablets, and the cost is included within the cost of the course. Also, the course play time is 3x. So as Rishi sir had said, that roughly around 700 hours is the course duration. Then you can actually play the whole course for roughly around, say, 2100 hours. Meaning, if you want to go back and watch any lecture twice or even thrice, you can do so. So it is up to you how you want to use it. That flexibility is provided, and the total runtime is 3x, and it is suitable for working professionals as well. Now, please understand one of the things also, that we are keeping the batch timing from 3 to 5:30, though you can watch it later also. But we want you to the extent possible, use the live feature, and we are limiting the timings because we want a good discussion also to happen after the class. Even if you don't miss the session or the discussion of that day, you will have the recorded question and answer discussion session also available in the tablet. So if as a working professional you miss out on a session also, the Q&A session of recorded of that session will also be available in the tab, and you can later also ask your questions, and the Zoom meetings are also there. Lastly, coming to the cost aspect, the cost has been kept very, very modest, as ma'am has always argued that education must be accessible and affordable apart from being good in quality. So the course is something which is roughly around 58,000 plus GST, which becomes something around 68,000. Now in this 68,000 fee, the tablet fee is also included, and you don't have to pay for it separately or buy it separately. It is included within the course. And we are not in a position that you provide us the tablet that we can send and encrypt it to you. That's not possible. So you have to buy the course, and the tablet fee is included within the course. Now here is the point. Ma'am will just talk about optional also after me in a minute. But if you're taking the optional, the PSI or optional along with the tablet course, along with the GS course, the course fee is even much lesser, and it is available only in 95,700. So this practically you just have to pay a very nominal additional fee if you're taking both of them together. So that makes a lot of economic sense as well. And that is one of the things. A lot of you keep asking, what about physical classroom? If and when the Delhi government allows us to resume the physical classrooms, we will do so. And in that case, you can upgrade to a physical classroom also. And the physical classroom fee will be somewhere between 90 to 95,000 for GS. So you will have to pay an additional fee of say 22,000 rupees if you want to upgrade to a physical classroom at a later stage. But as ma'am had said, it is not a wise thing to wait, because we don't know when the lockdown is going to be lifted. More importantly, the earlier you begin, the better it is. So that largely explains to you about the PSI aspect also. And the same, if apart from PSIR, Rushikesh sir also offers geography as an optional, and if you want to take geography also as an optional, the GS and geography fee will also be the same. the 95,700 aspect also. So that is there. I hope that this makes sense. This answers most of your questions. Now Shubhra ma'am will come, and she'll probably she's going to explain to you more about the pol science aspect, the certain do's and don'ts, and what to keep in mind.
So first of all, I would like to thank all of you for participating in this session, and on behalf of our entire team. And I would like to suggest that take this opportunity, don't waste your time. Time is very precious. To quote Einstein, Einstein said that every adversity brings an opportunity, and in the end I will just say that कोई भी लक्ष्य मनुष्य के साहस से बड़ा नहीं, हारा वही जो लड़ा नहीं. Now, let me introduce you with the approach towards PSIR. This is the first time we are introducing. Political science in the tablet mode, and there are certain queries about the students. Jayesh sir will explain the technical aspect of it. Jayesh sir also takes some of the topics in PSIR. Some students want to know what prior preparation is required in political science. So I would say that no prior preparation is needed, nothing very specific. I will not recommend that you read O.P. Gauba and Andrew Haywood. That is not at all required if you are attending my class. How are we going to handle this? See, we are going to start with Western political thought that forms the foundation of the entire political theory. Political theory makes the foundation of all other subjects, international relations as is Indian government and politics. So instead of studying Subrat Mukherjee or any other book, I would recommend that if you have a little knowledge about the European history, the modern European history, that will help you in a much better way, because political thought is like a sort of a history. If you see some of the standard books on the political thought by Sabine and other Ebenstein, they always write a history of the Western political thought. So if a student understand what is Renaissance, what is Reformation, the modern age, the idea of formation of nation states, industrial revolution and its impact, that student will be more comfortable in understanding the Western political thought. Now, I will always suggest that political science is such an interdisciplinary nature and has a huge overlap with your general studies. If you do your general studies properly, that is more than the background which is required to understand the optional. For example, when you do governance, you are also automatically preparing yourself for Indian polity section in GS, in our political science section B of paper 1. Similarly, the knowledge of geography, let us say the geographical maps, is required. The knowledge of economy will help you in understanding international relations. Similarly, political theory will help you. It also help you in preparation of your general studies. So there is a huge overlap. Do your general studies properly. Mostly the students are apprehensive about how to cover the dynamic element. Don't worry, our class will cover the dynamic element. Besides this, I am also posting all relevant topics from the newspapers and the standard journals in my page. You visit Shubhra Ranjan IAS, there is a teachers page. You can go to the teachers page, you can go to my page. If you want to see others teachers page, you can visit there, and we are uploading all the relevant topics. So don't worry for, I can assure the notes will be sufficient. You don't have to worry for collection of the material, and you will enjoy the class. So my best wishes to all of you. Thank you. Now Jayesh will explain the technical aspects of PSIR tablet course.
So how we want to do the PSR as a tablet course is primarily in the context of that what we are going to do is that there will be two batches. One will be from 11 to 1:30 and the other batch will be 1:30 p.m. The other batch will be from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Now please understand that these are going to be live lectures. Now what is going to happen is that each of this live lecture will be followed by a Q&A session with ma'am, and this Q&A session will be for 45 minutes. Now we hope and expect that you attend the live lecture followed by the Q&A session, but in case you are not able to do so, the recorded session will be available for both for the classroom as well as the Q&A session in your tablet. Now there are two important differences for you to know from the GS course, how the GS course and the GS tablet course and Pol Science tablet course are different. There are two important differences. One is that the GS lectures will be available, even a lecture held in May will be available in your tablet, say in December or till the end of the course, but that is not the case in Pol Science. What is going to happen in Pol Science is that to maintain discipline, what we are doing is that suppose today is the 13th of May. Now the live lecture of 13th May, of the previous day 12th May and 11th May, these three lectures will be available in the tablet. Okay, now once you are going to 14th May, the lecture for 11th May will disappear from the tablet. Please understand that any given point of time, lectures of 3 days will be available in the tablet, and the total times you can watch the lecture is limited at 2x, while in GS we have limited at 3x. In Pol Science we are limited at 2x. So these are the two important differences that is there. Also the same tablet will be used if you're buying both the GS and if you're taking both the GS and the Pol Science, then the same tablet can be used for both the GS and the Pol Science features themselves, and that also drastically brings down the cost aspect as well. Also what is to be understood is that we are beginning this course from the 15th of the Pol Science course begins from 15th of July, whereas the GS course begins from 15th of May. So even when you do polity and history before, it will definitely help you in your Pol Science understanding also. So ma'am, so I think
that's all, and this discussion would have benefited you, and if further queries you can always post, and there are a lot of queries related to geography optional also, so Rishikesh sir will be putting a video on geography optional in a day or two. Till then, thanks a lot, thanks and goodbye.
oh yeah.